Welcome into the Snapped Podcast, my personal audio journal. My name is Tyler Kluber. I'm a personal trainer and podcaster, but it gets a little bit deeper than that. And this show is going to give you an inside look on my thoughts concerning health and fitness, business, mindset, and creating the life that you feel lucky to live. I hope you enjoy the show. Sit back, relax, and let's have a day. Oh, here we are in the new year, 2022. Welcome into the Snap Podcast. It was, just about a year ago when I decided to go all in on this thing. And I'll be honest, I don't even know. I got to check the tape on this one, but I know that 2 years ago I did the Pint Life Challenge. Right. That was in the year that COVID began. I can't believe that shit's still going on. Annoying to deal with. Anyway, we go all the way back. And again, this is what you get with this podcast. Nothing planned. If we go all the way back to January of 2020, January 28th, just almost 2 years ago. Living the Pint Life, Snapped episode 1. Wow. Looking back, so this is why it's cool to have a little podcast. Everyone should have one of these, even if you don't produce it, because then you can go back and listen to it. And again, it's like a journal. So I started the podcast, right? We did 6 episodes of the Pint Life. Actually, 6 episodes of the Pint Life. And then it took me 3 more months until I did another episode. And then after that, it took me another month and a half to do an episode. We did a few episodes throughout the end of 2020. And then last year on January 15th of 2021, I decided, you know what? We're going to do a podcast every week of this year. And we damn near did it, man. We damn near did it. I don't know if every week was reasonable, just because of vacations and, last week was the holidays and stuff like that. But we did, let's see, there was 11 episodes before this, and we got to 59. We did 48 episodes. We did 48 episodes in the 2021 year. It's pretty good. 48 episodes. Some of it was informational, and there's the yawn, the token yawn. Some of it was personal, life updates for me. Some of it was anecdotal, exercise, what I was doing, this, that, the other thing, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. And I haven't sat down to write out a plan for 2022 for anything yet. That'll probably be in the next week or so. And the Snap podcast will inevitably be part of that. Wow. 2 yawns, man, to start the new year. Hope that's not a sign. But I plan on making it more of the same, right? By no means have I touched on all of the subjects that are out there in the fitness, business, health, self-betterment world. You could probably go on for years and years at that point. I would love to have on, I think that's a goal for this year, specifically if we're going to really get to the nitty-gritty of it. I would love to have on our first guest or guests, right? Because experiences from others and input and insight from people I know, people that have unique perspectives on certain subjects, can provide a different opinion than mine and spur conversation between the two of us that could be beneficial for listeners. So I think that's a specific goal. But yeah, just more of the same and maybe a little bit more of some difference. This first one today is more just sort of a welcome to the new year. This is what it's going to be. I also want to use this intentionally in 2022 to get better at speaking. What do I mean by that? Well, most of you, I would say 95% of you probably came from the Washed Up Walk-Ons podcast. A third? Yawn. Oh my goodness. Fuck me, huh? 95% of you came from the Washed Up Walk-Ons audience. Maybe 90%. So you guys know that twice a week, and in fact, it's 3 times a week because we do an exclusive weekly podcast, Drake and myself, for the Patreon subscribers. 3 hours plus a week, I'm talking into a microphone about oftentimes the same topics, but now, especially in the off season, January through August, it will be a lot of interview-based conversations. And the way that I speak on Washed Up Walk-Ons, where I am very much so the moderator, sort of, you know, we call me tech guy. I sort of run the show. I make sure, in some ways, very much so, I am the producer of the Washed Up Walk-Ons, and Kevin and Drake are sort of the opinions. They're the talent. And oftentimes that leaves me in spots where I'm saying a lot of ums and like and so, like these filler words, right? Filler speech ticks that I simply need to cut out, right? I edit a lot of them out of that podcast. I have enough time now, and the podcast, the Washed Up Walk-Ons, is legitimate enough financially for me to consider my job. So I spend more time on it. And so I edit a lot of that out and make myself sound better. However, there's still a lot of them that get, slip through the cracks. And quite honestly, I would love if I didn't have to edit those out. I would love if I could just talk like I do on here. I pause a lot more on here. I get into the mindset and the framework of, I know that this is just a singular one-person podcast. Again, I'd hope to have guests on, but when I come on and I do these episodes, I know that no one's going to fill that gap, fill that silence with noise, right? If I just sit here, 1, 2, 3, the seconds just tick away and nobody's saying anything. So I have to fill that gap, which means I'm much more intentional about what is going to come out of my mouth next. I also don't have that conversational erraticism, kind of randomness, because it's just me talking and I control the entire narrative. So I want to use this show to work on my speech, how I talk to the microphone, how I form sentences, monologues, thoughts, my tone, my tempo. It's almost a little bit like a comedic routine. Not always comedy based, but how do I give a presentation? This is like a TED Talk. So that's a goal I have for this podcast that sits behind the scenes of all of the content that actually ends up being the value of this show, right? And obviously me talking better, me getting better at public speaking is going to make the content sound better and come across better and maybe connect more with you guys. So there's that. I'm very, very excited for the personal training. That's a bad way to put it. I'm very excited. Oh my goodness. A 4th fucking yawn. Worst podcaster on earth. I'm excited for the personal training in multiple ways. One, what is personal training? Well, that's sort of what I do in a roundabout way. Online fitness and nutrition coach is sort of what I call myself. I'm very excited for where I will grow in 2022 based on the one-on-one clients that I have. That is my version of personal training right now, since I do not do any in-person live personal training, the traditional personal training, which I would still really love to do. However, especially now with as much work as I have to do at home on a daily basis between my online clients and the sports media brand that is Washed Up Walk-Ons, I don't have a ton of time to drive somewhere, waste my time 10, 15 minutes one way, another 10 to 15 minutes back, and to be on somebody else's time, unless it is for, and this sounds bad, right? But unless it's for a shitload of money, right? And granted, personal training is sort of built that way. Personal training is a product that is at its core very expensive because it is a very customized, very sought after service. It is highly effective. It is usually done by people who are financially well off. And because you are the trainer, that is trading time for money, which is in the end what limits people the most in growing financially. And that's a whole other podcast. It needs to be financially responsible, right? And I guess the way you calculate that is take the amount of money I made last year and take the amount of money I made last year and divide that by the number of hours I worked. And then you have a rate, right? You have a rate of pay, essentially. Now, granted, it's a little bit different than that, but to make it simple, that's the way you do it, right? And so if we're going to make it easy, say you work the 40-hour work week, 50 weeks a year, that's 2,000 hours, right? That's the common sort of thing. I don't know who actually hits 2,000 hours on the dot. I personally would like to work less than 2,000 hours a year. I think everybody would. I know for a fact that I did work less than 2,000 hours a year. Part of that for me, and we've talked about this before, is I don't believe in the traditional way that work works. I think it's a horrible idea to go and trade your time for an hourly wage, right? If you can control that. Some people don't have that option. And for those people, for a lot of people, going and making $18 an hour to do something is a fucking huge win. And you absolutely should do it. But people are at different stages. And if you have the ability, the opportunity, the skills to do much more than that, right? Instead of working for $18 an hour and working an 8-hour shift, what's that add up to? 80, 64, 144 bucks, right? Instead of making 144 bucks over the course of 8 hours, what if you could find a skill, have a skill that is, you know, you put in 2 to 3 hours of work and you're making 50 bucks an hour or 100 bucks an hour to do it. So you make in between 150, you make the same amount of money, maybe 200, maybe twice as much, depending. There's been times where I've made, you know, I'll just give you an example. Snapping lessons, personal long snapping coaching, which is not a lot of people doing that one out there. And so for the people who are serious about it, I have been paid anywhere from $60 to $100 an hour. And actually it's more like 45 minutes, but an hour to do that, right? Going all the way back to personal training, which was the topic of this conversation, it needs to be around that sort of money to make it worth it, right? Because not only am I going and doing that and I'm giving up an hour of the time that I have to do other work, but I'm also I have to physically go and do that. I have to go out of the comfort of my own home where I'm very comfortable. I have to spend 15 to 20 minutes driving to a gym to work with somebody else. Like, there's some downsides to that. Has to be worth it. So why was I even on that? I'm an online and fitness coach. I'm excited about continuing to be an online fitness coach and how far I can grow that, right? How deep I can create personal connection through a computer screen, sort of new age. The other side of that is my own personal training program that I do for myself, my own athletic and competitive goals, of which right now are focused on CrossFit. We've talked a lot about it. I've done several podcasts. We did a competitive training camp, 4-day training camp in the summer. We did training podcasts multiple times about what my goals are, what the CrossFit season looks like, where I think I can go, and how far I can get. I know we did multiple podcasts on the 20 rep squat cycle that I've done, of which that 20 rep program with all the accessories and thoughts included, full product. I want to wrap that up and pretty it up and make that a program and sell that for $29-$39 as an ebook, because that's one of the most effective, and really it's over the last 3 years, I found some of the most effective things of my training life that I've ever done, going all the way back to 2005 in 5th grade when I started lifting weights, right? I created a challenge entirely based off of intermittent fasting because I found a way to do it that was sustainable, not that invasive, and got insane results. I found a way to do the 20-week squat program that included, lifestyle and diet protocol, where it was incredibly productive and made insane gains. And it was better than anything I've ever done for my leg strength, my squat numbers, and my deadlift numbers. So I want to make that an ebook and help others, right? But I've got a lot of goals. A lot of that is going to be the CrossFit stuff focused in the new year. Sometimes, you know what? And quick pause. Sometimes I wonder, as I babble on just about my own life, if you people sitting there are like, hey, buddy, we don't fucking care. But then again, you kind of know what you're signing up for. I literally opened the podcast in the intro with, this is my own personal audio journal. I sound like a douchebag when I say that, but that's true. So long story short, it is January 5th when this is released. February 24th, right? That's 7 weeks from mañana. So tomorrow's the 6th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks from tomorrow. 49 days, 50 days out today from the CrossFit Open. That'll be a 3-week ordeal. In those 3 weeks, there will be at least one of those weeks where it's a 2-part workout. Potentially 2 of those weeks will be multi-part. And for the first time ever, I will advance to the next stage. Notice how I say I will. It's a no doubt. And at this point, it's not that cool to call my shot on it because it's only the top 10% of people. But I will advance through the next stage of competition in the CrossFit season into quarterfinals, online quarterfinals. And really, that's where my training has been focused. How competitive can I be in the quarterfinals? Where can I finish realistically in the world, in the USA, in Iowa, in the demographics that I am in? Where can I finish and how fit can I be? That's my current goal. And I did a podcast a couple of weeks ago that said, that was titled 2-a-days, right? I'm full bore 2-a-days. I'm basically and I'm a little ahead of schedule, which is cool because my body's handling it really well. I'm training 2 hours a day pretty easily. Honestly, like cutting a few things off my workouts right now because I know I need to slowly build this. It's probably going to get to 2.5 hours a day. I'm going to be prepared and ready for this CrossFit competition. And I'm excited for it. And that's what you're going to hear a lot about to start 2022. After that, hey, you get to, the beauty of life, you get to decide where you take yourself. Am I going to be focused on, I'll tell you this right now. There's a chance I'll turn 28 this year. I'm currently 27. I'll turn 28 in 2022. There is a chance that as a 28-year-old, I use this year of 2022, and then obviously next year, because the Open will be in February again, the early part of 2023 as the most dedicated year to being a quote unquote professional athlete and to reaching the farthest I can possibly go in CrossFit that I'll have ever been. There is a chance that that's where we go with this. There's a chance that I put competitive CrossFit completely behind me and just back it off to an hour, maybe less per day of training 4 or 5 days a week and just shift into, hey, I just want to be healthy and look good. I don't know where I go with that. And there's some factors that we will talk about at some point that affect those goals and those aspirations and really the time I have throughout each day. A lot of business goals that I want to, well, really, again, that I haven't defined necessarily yet, but with the media brand of Washed Up Walk-Ons, with the personal brand, with other stuff that I want to expand into this year. So if you can't tell, I sure fucking love talking about myself and what, you know, in my life. And I'm excited for this year. I'll tell you what, I'll end with this. The COVID thing, Omicron, fucking Decepticon, whatever variant comes out, I'm not super affected by it. I live at home. I don't get out much. I'm healthy. I train all the time. This, that, the other thing. I'm vaccinated. Should do one on vaccination, really. Because that's part of health. But these last, I mean, literally almost to the date, 2 weeks before things started happening with COVID in the US, is exactly when my life sort of flipped and everybody's life sort of flipped, but it was in two different ways. And mine went exponentially entrepreneur mode and freedom mode and life is crazy and cool and random and unexpected mode. And everybody else's kind of went, I'm super fucking annoyed. I'm concerned. I'm worried. I'm scared. I'm sick, all this other stuff. So it's been a wild 2 years. And to be quite honest, I want to keep having a wild fucking, I want another stack number 3 on, right? Make it a triple. This is Sunday at Culver's for me. I want a triple. Give me wild year number 3 in a row. I plan on doing everything in my power to make it that way. I grind every single day with the unknown results, but the known history of my own life and how things have worked out. Things keep working out as long as I keep putting in work. And that's how I wake up every day. Hope you guys have there we go. Talk about getting better talking to a microphone. I hope you guys have a fantastic start to your 2022. As always, if you want to reach out, you have questions about health, fitness, nutrition, this, that, the other thing, you find some other part of my life interesting and have questions, please do so. Email me, tyler-kluver@live.com, or DM me, Tyler Kluver, on Instagram or Twitter. 2022 has no fucking chance against us, baby. Let's go. See you next week.